Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast where we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And we are honored to be joined today by Matt Carson of Haiku Bituary fame. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Hey. Oh, totally.
All right.
We're excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
You are a friend of the Movies by Minutes community. You're like behind the scenes, sort of plugged in, like you're everywhere. You're in all the groups. You showed up on Caddyshack. You showed up on Star Wars.
I know all the right people.
And can I just interject? I'm a huge fan of your haikus, Matt. So you've been an inspiration to me.
Excellent.
So I may toss a couple of my own out here in these next couple of episodes.
That sounds great. They're really easy to write, and I love it when people write them.
I'm not brave enough to do it, so.
Well, they're hard. It's hard to write good ones, but
right. Feel free to rip Pete's to shreds if you need to.
Yes, please do.
Pete can't eulogize anybody.
But we're here today to talk about minute 93 of Temple of Doom, which begins with Shorty finally pulling the hat pin out of the Indy doll, and it ends with the Maharaja raising his knife to Shorty. And I want to start by saying this is a blanket statement for this whole minute. I have never, outside of the movie Popeye, seen such a Popeye minute of any movie. Almost every note of this minute is straight out of Popeye. We get Indy getting his strength back, and I know they play the Raiders theme, but it sounds like,
the first note I have written down is pulling knife from voodoo doll is like Popeye eating spinach.
Yeah, like spinach just spews out of the voodoo doll and goes right into Popeye or his mouth. And then you've got olive oil down below, kind of, get him, Indy, get him, Popeye the Sailor. It's like, go, he's Popeye the Sailor, man. And then, like, even later on, like, the Pat Roach drops the rock on his head. It's like, boy, oi, 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 oi. It's absolutely 100% Popeye from Stone to Stern.
I had like a big fistful of sag paneer.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. So that's it. I'm done with minute 94.
That's it. Done with. Well, I had a question at the very beginning. Who's sawing rocks? Like, why is there there's a two-person saw there, and when I was in... Yeah, when I was in 8th grade for detention, I had to stay after school and clap erasers. Like, I mean, I feel like saying that's how old I am. Like, I literally had to clap erasers after school.
I had to reboot the whiteboard.
Maybe there's a Temple of Doom detention center. Like, go saw rocks, kids.
Well, maybe they're using the saw to make all the railings on the catwalks above. There's plenty of business with the railings coming up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things probably need maintenance all the time.
Well, we see a lot of them fall apart, so they get replaced all the time, I bet.
What is fascinating is that the two-man saw here is a perfect weapon for Indy because I'm sure, as all you guys know, it is colloquially known as the misery whip.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The two-man saw is actually known as the misery whip. So I think that's why Indy is so animated.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, that he doesn't use the misery end of it. Like, he hits him with the broadside of it rather than the rusty, like the blade.
The misery end of it. Wait, is that true? No, doesn't he? He hits him with the serrated part.
No, it looks like I thought he hit him with the side of it.
You might be right.
I always thought he gets hit with the teeth right in the gut, and that's always bugged me every time.
Yeah.
It looks really painful.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right. I think he does get him with the teeth. But I always thought he did sort of get him with this. Yeah, he kind of just jabs him with it, yeah.
So I love that you compare this to olive oil, Tom, and that's actually good. And to me, this also seemed incredibly 1980s when she's kind of doing the shadow punching and saying "Go Indy."
Yeah. There's my man. He's beating up that mean guy. Oh, but then we also get like Shorty's Jaws punches. We've been talking about Jaws hands and Jaws shadow boxing, and now we get the Jaws punches over Indy's shoulder. Like,
and I feel like this is the result of some bad parent modeling. Like Shorty is really going to town on this kid.
Yeah.
Like he's just wailing on this kid.
Jaws hands clobbering.
he's getting more brutal than Indy even.
Yeah.
As he gets older.
You know what though? You know what about like second 18 leaves me unsatiated because we see Shorty pummeling the Maharaja, and his ultimate blow is an arcing right cross. And I really want to see the Maharaja fly off the cliff and get impaled on flaming elephant tusks.
It is a Popeye movie.
And it's like he Shorty gives him this huge right hook that like he follows through, like it goes past and through his skull, and like the Maharaja just falls.
You think Shorty's cutting his knuckles on any of his jewelry that the Maharaja's got on? Because he's done up like Mr. T.
Yeah, it's true.
I pity the Shorty.
It's like you know, and the Maharaja just kind of lays back, and you're like, yeah, he should explode in like flaming bones or something.
Maybe he's just so like morally stunned that a commoner has not only like laid hands
It's
on him,
wrong
but
for
is
you to
beating
punch
him
me.
up. In my country, we don't touch each other like that.
A commoner, like a street urchin.
Yeah, street urchin is roughhousing him and violating his person.
Well, Christy was curious if the kid's under the spell of the Collie Blood or if he's just a jerk. And maybe maybe he can just take a punch.
Why not both, man?
Why not both? Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone's an angel just because they drank the Collie Blood.
You did mention exploding, though, and that's a good segue into this exploding rock. Like Pat Roach hits Indy in the face with a rock, and instead of his face breaking, the rock shatters.
That's true. And you know what's
Thanks,
weird
Guy.
about that? Like, Pat Roach screams when he hits Indy. That's like, if you watch it, it's like Pat Roach's scream. You know?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's like, the grunt of, like he's psyching
Victory?
himself up. It's that grunt of exertion and the Hulk Hogan kind of powering himself up.
Well, maybe this conveyor belt and the wheel are intended for the crushable rocks, and that's why they go here. So.
Oh yeah, you don't want to break the rock.
These are all
really hard rocks.
These are all soft rocks.
They're all like pre-scored.
Yeah.
Speaking of scored, we've talked a lot about bells and the bells in your life and the bells in our lives. Mm-hmm. And, right here, like when he hits Indy with the rock and Pat Roach stands back up and Indy kind of grabs the gas cans and we have those glockenspiel dings, when Indy grabs the pails and they just kind of signify like sprightly, spirited mirth violence. It is very, very Popeye because like he picks the rock up and the pails and it kind of goes bling 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 bling,
Right.
And you know that the stakes are low.
Yeah, there's really major key music all over the place. It's,
yeah. And he does I love that he does the sort of dazed professional wrestler walk after the rock falls on his head.
That's exactly what it is.
He's trying to get back to his corner.
And I wonder if that was the direction Spielberg gave him, or just because Pat Roach was a professional wrestler, if that was just like what he knew.
It's instinct.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, what would his name be?
Oh,
I have written down Thuggo von Bluto.
Oh,
I like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
that would be his wrestling name.
I like that.
So, that CC's, you can see the family resemblance. He looks a lot like Otto von Bluto.
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
And, by extension, that the guy that he that fights Indy with his arm on fire in Marion's bar, I guess would be Sherpa von Bluto.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
We never got to Sherpa von
Yeah.
Pluto.
I think this guy's got cousins all over the world.
I think Sherpa von Bluto was long dead by the time Otto von Bluto
That's true.
got his name coined.
Maybe, yeah, I mean, I feel like his big move would be like the hanging Anglican or something. Like he kind of gets above you and jumps off something.
The flapistration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he gets caught. He gets his I don't know, his scarf, his sash, whatever that is. He gets caught in the rock crusher. And it's immediate. This happens a lot in movies. I can't think of any examples right now, but there's the moment where like the hero and the bad guy have been going at it. I guess this happens in, like Star Trek 3 and stuff. That's a good example. Everything comes back to Star Trek 3. But like in that moment where it's seen, or the bad guy is clearly lost and he's about to get killed, the hero tries to save him and stuff. And I usually don't get why that happens.
He wants to win the fight, but not like this.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
What?
What do you mean the hero tries to save him?
He's trying to get out of Von Sultan. What's his name? What did we just call him?
Thuggo von Pluto.
Thuggo von Pluto.
He's trying to get him out of the thing.
No, he's not. That's not what he's doing.
Uh-oh, controversy. Keep going.
Yeah.
No, he's trying to fix the pulley so that when he goes down, Indy goes up. He's literally profiting off his death.
No. The only reason he's holding on to the pulley is he's trying to. He can jump off that belt easily if he wants to, or just stand to the side, and he's not going towards the rock crusher anymore.
But he knows he has to go up. He's like doing the math.
No, he's just trying to hold on to the thing. He's trying to pull the guy up, but it's too much. Indy gets pulled up like against his will as he's trying to.
You know what though?
The guy.
I have always read this exactly like what you're saying, Tom. But now that I look at it through Jerry's eyes, I can actually see Jerry's point here.
Yeah, it's not even close.
I've never looked at it that way before, but it's a possibility.
Both things occurred to me.
Yeah, he specifically steadies himself. Steadies himself on the pulley, watching, and he like gets into position to. You really think Indiana Jones is gonna save Thuggy von Pluto?
Well, it's a case of Indiana Jones is at long last trying to check his worst destructive impulses, and as usual, it's a really half-assed effort to do that.
Right.
And also at this point in the fight, Thuggo starts yelling "Sahib." He starts calling Indy Sahib, which is like a colonial Indian word for master that they would use for
really?
the white colonialists. Yeah,
wow.
Sahib, Sahib. So I think he's begging for mercy here.
I definitely think he's begging for mercy. I guess the question is Indy being merciful right after he was going to impale him with that pick?
I think Indy's being merciful here, and then he's making it up as he goes along. And while he's getting pulled up as the guy gets ground up, he realizes, I can get on this catwalk from here.
That's exactly how I read it. I think the only reason for him to hold on to that rope, he doesn't care about going up. The only reason he's holding onto the rope is to try to pull the guy out of the rock crusher. And it may be a half-assed, effort. Like, once he realizes it's lost, that guy was trying to kill me. It's okay. I guess crush my rock
I think
crusher.
this one's got to go to the mat, which is the Listener's Crusade poll.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm watching it over and over, and I understand he kind of reaches out for a quick second. Like, he sort of reaches out. I mean, and then he literally is watching him and kind of pushes him to, and like, gets the rope specifically to go up. I know he could jump off the conveyor belt at any time, but he specifically does not want to jump off the conveyor belt. He wants to go up.
Well, okay, but explain to me why he wants to go up.
I don't know why he wants to go up, but he is up.
But wait, there's a piece of evidence here we're all missing, and I don't know which side this points to. But in second 30, after Thuggo drops the rock on his head, he reaches for the rope, and Indy grabs his arm. And is Indy trying to slap his arm away from the rope so that he can't escape, or is Indy trying to help him here? It's like second 29.
I'm looking.
I too am looking.
I see that too, but it's I think it's a mad scramble to try to help the guy. And I think that holding onto the rope with the pulley, I think the only reason he's doing it is to try to pull the guy out.
But so you think right from the outset, it's just like a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, I'm going to help this guy. He's in distress.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see him killed by a rock crusher.
No, there's no way. He literally goes up to the second, like he goes up to, I see what you're saying, like he's trying to help him out. And you're like, oh yeah, he's trying to outweight Pat Roach. And you're like,
yeah.
Well, he knows that's not going to work. I mean, Pat Roach weighs a hell of a lot more than he does.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's a good plan or that it should work.
Yeah, but he literally rides it like a makeshift elevator.
Well, yeah, once it's a done deal, once he's like,
Wait a minute.
I don't think he wants to. I don't think he needs to get up to that higher level. I think that just sort of he's like, okay, I'm going to hold on to this thing in an effort to save this guy. This is not working. Okay, all right, but I'm up here now. I guess I will either fall to my death or get off on this catwalk up here.
But Indy had a guy smile at him,
Yeah,
and he punched him off a cliff.
I went right to that in my head.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, you know what? Indy is not a scrap chap. He's not. Now, Pat Roach is, but Indy's not a scrap chap. He's not going to save a guy like this because he doesn't want to, he doesn't like the tussle. He tries to get out of it, and frankly, he plays dirty. He always does. He throws the sand in Otto von Bluto's eyes. He literally, now granted, he's getting his heart pulp squeezed, but he breaks Pat Roach's foot. You know what I mean? He's not he's not. There aren't really any rules.
You know who else fights exactly like that? Captain James T. Kirk, and he tried to save Christopher Lloyd when he was falling off the thing at the end. He kicked him in the face eventually and made him fall to his death, but still, at first he tried to help him.
Klingon bastard.
Klingon bastard. He killed his son.
You know what's really interesting? Is this the first time Pat Roach has ever confronted his own mortality?
He didn't have time the other time.
Yeah. Well, he sort of did. He had a split second of looking back at the propeller.
Where did I go wrong?
He really has a few seconds to contemplate this.
Yeah,
and it's horrible.
It is horrible.
It's so sad because you see this scene, you look down and you see the cute little buttons on his shoes that Christy was talking about, and he just becomes such a pathetic, sad, tragic figure.
Oh my God!
Literally, who's gonna let my mother know back in England?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
not the boots.
Water my plants.
Water my plants. The other thing is, we see that his fashionable turban, that was a hard hat, it's supposed to protect against falling or throwing rocks, but it just doesn't work at all. There's a major design flaw.
Yeah. Well, it's not built for rock crushers.
Yeah. It hits him on the head, and that's the beginning of the end for him.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is hubris. Maybe that rock that Indy threw earlier cracked the turban helmet. And so what he thought was invincible, now he hits himself with the rock, and he's not expecting this.
Yeah.
It cracked the turban.
It's compromised the integrity.
Yeah.
This is a lesson similar to The Incredibles, where they have all those cases against superheroes having capes because they just get them caught into jet engines and things like that. And this is don't have a big crazy sash when you're fighting on a rock crusher conveyor belt.
Well, it's really just toilet paper, isn't it? Isn't that
Jerry.
It's like death by toilet paper.
That's probably what he keeps it on for.
Oh.
Wait, you know what? Wait a minute. I have something huge about this. I just realized that's not a stone crusher that Pat Roach gets dragged into. That's the Khaled juicer. There's a little sluice on the side of that filters out the pulp.
With a train of empty glass bottles being shoved up under it.
Exactly. I wondered about that too. I wondered if this would end up being a pretty good Flappistry candidate because his insides would have been squished out of his hide like from a toothpaste tube.
Oh yeah,
that's how they do it, and then that way you don't have to you don't have all this meddlesome sewing and
Well, that's why Joe and Mo Googly Eyes were so happy, as they were the earlier versions of the Scrap Chap.
Oh, maybe.
And Pete, you talked about how advanced technologically the Temple of Doom is. They're with the electricity and all this stuff. They're way ahead of the curve on the juicer.
Yeah.
and it makes sense. It's because they're so efficient. You just see a little highlighter red stripe. And that's it. Everything else gets, you either have pulp and Khaled.
Yeah. Can I just say that blood smear has always bothered me and left me a little cold. I know they have to do something to show, yes, the guy actually got crushed, and it's supposed to be a little gross, but it's not actually gross. It's just a red smear. And compared to, say, let's not compare Temple of Doom to Raiders because that isn't fair. But, compared to his death and, the blood spray against the flying wing, that is essentially the same thing, but is so much more just upsetting and violent and gets the point across. And I always, even as a kid, when I saw it, like, okay, it's a red smear, I get it. Okay.
So what did you need like giblets and stuff like that stuck to the wheel too? Is that?
Well, yeah, that's, like, I don't even want it to be grosser, and I know they can't be grosser. But it seems like a red highlighter on a big wheel.
See, this is what's interesting. I disagree. I think it can be grosser because we've certainly seen grosser, and it's interesting to me what they deem as, well, we can't show that.
Yeah, maybe they had to dial it back because of everything that had come before. Or something.
And as Pat Roach goes into the juicer, like it actually shows the machine having a little bit of trouble, like kunk 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 kunk.
Yeah,
and so
rough.
it's really disgusting
It's
already.
built for frail children.
Yeah, that's right. It's built for huge rugby players from England.
I have to say though, for somebody with a higher body count than most serial killers, Indy is remarkably squeamish.
Yeah.
Like both this and the helicopter scene, he does that same like quick turn away so he doesn't have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And in
And
this
so does
case,
Willie.
you didn't really need to. You're like, man, it's not that bad, Indy. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
And he's used to like throwing guys off cliffs or into the lava pit or shooting them from a distance.
Right.
This is pretty up close and personal.
He tried to save that man.
Well, I've got a medical question about this. And in honor of Matt, I wrote my first haiku to address it.
Oh, cool.
The long plaintive cry of a man screaming aloud without any lungs.
Oh, my
Because you hear him screaming after his lungs have been pulverized.
Yeah, it goes kind of gurgly at the end.
It is really gurgly. It's really gross. That's actually really upsetting.
I've got a haiku here too.
Oh, you have a haiku? Okay.
I do. It's not medical in nature, but it's this guy's haiku obituary. Thuggo von Bluto, recurring brutalizer, crushed flat by the wheel.
God, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
That's why Indy wanted to save him.
I have to give credit to Song Riddle coined the term recurring brutalizer a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that's 7 syllables. That's a fine set of 7 syllable words.
You just sit up in the middle of the day every time you hear 7 syllables.
Well, I tap my fingers a lot, and my wife sees me doing it. Like I'll be driving the car and like tapping my fingers on my thigh, and she's like, "Who are you doing?"
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to try my own hand at a haiku obituary. And because I love Thuggo so much, I tried one too. The fracas is still. Never again will we hear a Jaldi Caro.
Oh, my God. I missed it.
It's great. You can finally slow down.
That's really tough, Pete. Never again. So we hear.
I don't know why my mind just went here, but when you said you're trying to think of like you noticed the 7 syllables, I'm like, oh, when Gary Coleman died, what you talking about Willis? What you talking about? Oh no, what you talking about Willis? There you go. Okay, so I don't know where that came from.
I actually couldn't use that line when Gary Coleman died because like 50 people emailed it to me like, hey, what you talking about? What was the 7 syllables, man?
Now I'm just one of those jerks. You're above that. I appreciate that.
You want to hear my Gary Coleman haikus?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
His just ran on May 28th. Is the anniversary of 2010. Gary Coleman, 1968 to 2010. To move the world, it takes different strokes or it takes a brain hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
So that's the cause of death one. And then there's another. I have another one. No longer with us and never again to be menaced by the gooch.
Oh, so that's a little more
God,
I like that one. Yeah.
plaintive and hopeful.
Yeah.
Putting a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Like there isn't a gooch in heaven. Yeah, and we all know the gooch goes to hell.
Gooches go to hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
All gooches go to hell. I never ever noticed before, but that when he's trying to save, I maintain when he's trying to save Pat Roach, that is where Indy loses his sleeve of his shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never noticed that
I didn't
before until
either.
I watched this movie minute by minute.
I'm going through it frame by frame right now.
so
I got to get a load of this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't tell you exactly why, but
Like second 38, 39.
yeah. So it's important. I mean, all the
he does.
images of this
Absolutely.
movie that we saw were Indy with like a possibly see-through sword.
Oh,
and
yeah.
definitely no sleeve. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
the sign of
but-
a poorly made shirt?
Thuggo von Bluto grabs onto it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks like it's already ripped. It's ripped
See,
at the
that's what a nice
shoulder.
guy is. He still tries to save him even after all this fighting,
my shirt.
and he ripped his sleeve off his shirt.
Oh my God, you guys are absolutely crazy. There's no way he's trying to save him.
I cannot wait for the Listeners Crusade to weigh in on this. And I don't know for a fact that I'm right. We had a very similar discussion. Are we allowed to plug our Patreon show on our own show? I don't know. But we had a debate like this on Jaws. And other people need to weigh in because I might be crazy. Or Jerry might be crazy. I don't know.
Sure.
And we had a debate like this in the Spike Room.
That's
Yes.
true.
And about 80% of our listeners were incorrect in that poll.
Well, Pete, what do you think?
You know what? I'm agnostic about this. I can see both sides. I'm not going to take a side on this one. I like you both.
Pete, we went to college together.
We built this club, you and I.
Well, is it because you see him reaching down to actually... I mean, why is he going to hit the guy with pails in the kidneys and then save him?
That's the thing that gets me. That's why I lean towards you. I'm actually leaning your way, Jerry, because he was going to impale him with that pick.
Yeah.
Like
but that's
10
why I brought it
seconds
up in the
before.
first place, that this happens in movies.
I
I can
understand.
only think
Yeah.
of Star Trek 3, but I know that there are other examples of this where, they've been going at it, they're trying to kill each other, and then when one of them is going to die horribly, the other one, there's that moment of humanity.
No, I wanted you to die reasonably, not horribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a
exactly.
rock
Well, and
crusher.
that
You're
whole
mine.
pick impaling was just all in good fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't like...
Well, that's they used to talk about it during World War II, like the gentlemen pilots of the Luftwaffe and the RAF, and they would salute each other when someone got a good shot or when someone was going down, or they would. It's kind of maybe he respects him as a fighter.
Yeah. It's like it sounds very samurai or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's a code, the rules of
but they're-
Roughhouse.
Yeah, but Indy breaks those in
he
every
does.
fight.
He does.
He's not a scrum chum.
No.
That's all I'm saying. He's
Yeah.
not a Danny Donnybrook.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And this is the third time Pat Roach has died as a direct result of an Indiana Jones fight.
That is true.
Presumably, he was unconscious when Marion's bar went up and he burned with it, and then
Yeah.
the propeller got him, and now this rock crusher thing. So
This time he got to look Indy in the face.
would that be like voluntary manslaughter on Indiana's part? Because these are all deaths that are kind of pursuant to the commission of an unrelated crime
Right. Witnesses at the scene say that you tried to save him. So
without malice aforethought.
But it's totally, and they're like, well, if he did, then why was he benefiting on that makeshift elevator?
I don't know. He's making this up as he goes along.
And it's kind of this, like that creature that alien that Arthur Dent keeps killing in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Like he just kills him over and over and over, and he keeps reincarnating as something else. And now I like thinking of Pat Roach as doing that.
No.
Like he keeps coming back, and then Indy kills him, and he comes back, and Indy kills him, and that's what he walks the earth for.
Well, I don't know. Do we have more stuff for 93? I think that's it for me.
I think
But
that's
if
it
other
for me.
people have other
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, wait a second. I got something coming in. Hang on a minute.
What do
Is
you
it
mean?
a
What? Who?
boop or a boop?
Oh, yeah. How do we boop?
No, it's a boop.
Okay.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Is the Maharaja's letter opener dipped in poison or evil? It seems to deliver an extra pain wallop when he stabs Shorty.
Yeah. We
It's a
didn't
good
talk
question,
about that,
actually.
but
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to just be the like Shorty's really like he's
Yeah,
really like freaked out. I can't tell if he's just freaked because he's like, oh my god, he's got a letter opener, or is he like, is there something kind of black magic-y about it?
yeah.
Is it possible that Shorty has never been stabbed before?
No.
Have we ever seen him get stabbed?
Growing
or
up on the
poked or
streets of
jabbed?
Shanghai, I bet he got it all the time.
Yeah, probably. He's remembering that first time.
Yeah, because he is.
But
I don't know.
there's a deleted scene coming up. Well, not a deleted scene, but what the original script said at the beginning of the next minute that makes that very poignant. Actually,
Oh,
the whole stabbing thing.
weird. Okay.
Huh? Yeah. Wow. All right. I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt. It's just like, it
Right.
seems like there's a, like it was dipped in, I don't know, Maharaja oil poison.
Maybe it's just like, but look, I'm a small child in a fun summer blockbuster movie for the whole family, and you stuck me with a damn knife. That's not how it's done.
I get that you're the bad guy. Well, on that note, I guess that'll do it for 93. Matt, can you come back tomorrow for 94?
I would love to.
Please do. That'd be great. And in the meantime, where can people find you and your haiku obituaries?
You can find me on Facebook at Haiku Obituaries, which is a portmanteau of haiku and obituaries. And I write about the dead people that died on this day in history every single day.
And they're fantastic.
And also the newly fallen.
Yes.
Yeah.
You cut to the heart of humanity each day with your haikus.
And they take you less than 2 seconds to read. So
That's right.
I'm not asking for a lot of time here.
Humanity goes down easy. And Pete, where can people get in touch with us where we ignore humanity and just go for the cheap gags and yuck 'em ups?
Well, after you subscribe to Haiku Obituaries on Facebook, which I highly recommend because I love them, you can check us out on Facebook at either our main page, or you can go to our Facebook group, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade, where you will find the poll today. Is Indy being kind-hearted and trying to save Pat Roach's life? Or is Indy trying to benefit from Pat Roach's life and take the Thuggo von Bluto elevator to safety?
It's going to be good. It's going to be lively.
We're going to the mat.
Yeah.
It's the cage match.
But yes, get on there. Prove one of us right. I don't even care which one because it'll be fun. But also, please come back tomorrow. Matt's going to be back. We're all going to be back. Pat Roach will not be back. I'm sorry. But join everybody who is back for minute 94 of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Sahib!
Sahib! That's heartbreaking.
You know what? He should have chosen another life. I mean, I know he didn't want to be living in
Too late
England
now.
as an Anglican, but it's like you can see him. He's questioning all of his choices.
Yeah, but when he yelled Sahib, Indy should have yelled Psych.
Yeah, level 2, please.